The Elder Scrolls Online is an upcoming MMO, massively multiplayer online game, developed by ZeniMax Online Studios. Players take the role of an adventurer who can journey through the various provinces of Tamriel, fighting enemies, completing quests, finding epic loot, and meeting companions along the way. The game's plot revolves around the infiltration of the Imperial City, the capital of Cyrodiil, by the Daedric Lord Molag Bal and his agents. The player is an escapee from Molag Bal's Daedric realm of Cold Harbor who is thrust into Tamriel at a time of war. As you journey through Tamriel, leveling your character and exploring new provinces, there will be a main story questline that you can follow. This questline allows you to journey back to Cold Harbor and face the forces of Molag Bal yourself. But this questline isn't the only plot element in the game. There will be world events called Dark Anchors, where cultists summon a portal to Cold Harbor in an attempt to summon Daedra to come and take over Nirn. Players will be able to band together to repel these Daedra and close the portal. A cinematic version of this is shown in the Arrival cinematic trailer released by ZeniMax. One of the key parts of the Elder Scrolls Online is the alliance war waging between the three factions in the game over the Ruby Throne in Cyrodiil. They're all contesting for the same prize, and in doing so are forced to fight one another. The player must align themselves with one of the factions in the Elder Scrolls Online. The Ebonheart Pact, an alliance of Nord, Dunmer, otherwise known as Dark Elves, and Argonian. Led by the Nord Joran the Skald King, the forces of the Ebonheart Pact seek to take the throne of Cyrodiil from the corrupted Emperor by force. While the races of the Pact may have had bad blood between each other, they have managed to successfully unite under the same banner in the past. The Aldmeri Dominion. Comprised of Altmer, also known as High Elves, Bosmer, or Wood Elves, and Khajiit, the Aldmeri Dominion unite under the leadership of the Altmer High Queen Erin. They believe the races of man to be too weak to govern Cyrodiil's Ruby Throne, and so march upon the Imperial City to take it for themselves. The Daggerfall Covenant. The Covenant's races of Orzamer, also known as Orc, Breton, and Redguard, are old enemies forced to fight as one for the good of their lands. The events in Cyrodiil have disrupted trade routes, causing poverty and suffering for the people of the Covenant. The three races seek vengeance on the Emperor for the pain he has caused them, and wish to bring their homelands to their former glory. Players can join any of these three alliances when they create their character. It's an important decision to make and will determine where you spend the majority of your time when questing and leveling up. An important thing to take note of is that you won't be able to play with your friends if they are a different faction, so try and sort this out beforehand if you plan to adventure with someone else. The decision of which faction to fight for also greatly affects PvP, as players of opposing factions will be fighting each other in Cyrodiil's open-world PvP. Unlike previous games in the Elder Scrolls franchise, the Elder Scrolls Online allows you to explore all 9 provinces of Tamriel. While not all of the provinces will be available at launch, they will be included in future expansions for the game. The 9 provinces in the Elder Scrolls Online are Cyrodiil, the heart of Tamriel. This is where the Elder Scrolls Online PvP will take place. Cyrodiil is ruled by an Elder Council led by the Imperial battle mage Abner Tharn, a secret Daedric worshipper who seeks to bring the realm of Molag Bal into Tamriel. Skyrim, the home of the Nords, a cold and harsh land filled with ruins and snow-ridden plains for the player to explore. The ruler Joran the Skald King leads the Ebonheart Pact from his seat at the Palace of Kings in Windhelm, the center for Skyrim's commerce and war council. Morrowind. Morrowind serves as the main starting province for players of the Ebonheart Pact. Players may recognize the unique landscape, plant life, and wildlife from the other Elder Scrolls games. The Black Marsh is the homeland of the Argonians. Full of dense swamps and dangerous creatures, the Black Marsh has shaped its native Argonians to become a hardy and resilient race. There's a somewhat lack of governing politics in the Black Marsh, and instead, groups of Argonians form tribes. The Somerset Isles are home to the Altmer, also known as High Elves. They're a series of 3 islands that are under the rule of the Dominion's leader, Queen Erin. The Somerset Isles are notoriously beautiful, and serve as the main starting area for Aldmeri Dominion players, who will find themselves sucked into Altmer politics from the get-go. Valenwood is the home of the Bosmer, or the Wood Elves. The region itself is primarily covered in forests and swamps, and the inhabitants themselves are connected by small roads that lead through the trees. The green pact of the Bosmer means that they're unable to use wood or any plant derivatives as building materials, meaning that much of the buildings there are made from imported stone. The harsh expanse of Elsewhere is home to the cat race, the Khajiit. The land itself is filled with deserts and forests, which are home to many strange and unique races. The Khajiit people have a knack for stealth, and so many are plucked from Elsewhere for use in the Dominion's army as assassins and spies. High Rock is home to both the Bretons and the Orcs of Tamriel. The leader of the Daggerfall Covenant, High King Emmerich, struck a treaty with the Orcs allowing them to claim a part of the land for themselves. The province is a center for farming, trade, and all kinds of commerce. Bretons in particular are considered renowned artisans. Home to the famed Alakir Desert, Hammerfell is the Redguard province. It serves as the starting area for players in the Daggerfall Covenant. The Alakir Desert hosts a wide array of beasts, including giant scorpions, centaurs, and various daemons. One of the things that sets the Elder Scrolls Online apart from other MMOs is its combat system. Unlike other MMOs in which micromanaging large numbers of abilities is key, ESO only allows the player to have a small number of abilities at any one time. This makes the game feel much less like a complex button masher and more like a traditional Elder Scrolls game. It also vastly improves the game's visuals, meaning there's a lot of room for the player to view the environment they're exploring instead of blocks of user interface. In the Elder Scrolls Online, you'll be able to play in both third-person and first-person. First-person is arguably a more immersive and traditional Elder Scrolls experience, but multiple people have commented that third-person makes the game easier to play due to the larger view and awareness it offers the player. The abilities that you can use in combat come from skill trees. Using a weapon, type of armor, or completing quests will give you levels in a skill tree. Having a certain amount of levels in a certain skill line will allow you to use skill points on the abilities in that tree. This means that in order to level up in a certain tree, you need to use the skills from that tree. Classes aren't as definitive in the Elder Scrolls Online as they are in other MMOs. Since there is a wide variety of skill lines not related to classes in the slightest, they can only really serve as a starting point, a foundation to build your character on. There are 4 classes in the Elder Scrolls Online, each very different from the other, making for a much more unique character building experience even early on in the game. They are the Nightblade. Nightblades are loosely based around the rogue. They deal lots of damage from stealth, surprising their enemies and taking them down quickly. With a lot of single-target crowd control in their kit, Nightblades aren't just inherent damage dealers and can provide lots of utility in both PvE and PvP. The Dragon Knight. Dragon Knights are the bruisers of the game. Their abilities focus both on taking damage and dealing it, making them a very versatile choice for players. The abilities in the Dragon Knight skill trees have a dragon theme. You'll be able to breathe fire, grow wings, and even turn enemies into stone. The Templar. Templars are generally seen as the support characters of ESO. Their name may suggest a paladin-type class, but that is only one of the routes for the Templar to go down. They harness the power of light to heal allies, damage enemies, and protect themselves. The Sorcerer. The Sorcerer is the mage archetype in the Elder Scrolls Online. The class mainly focuses on DPS, whether it be single target or area of effect. Sorcerers can also summon creatures to their aid, including familiars and clanophiles. During your time in Tamriel playing the Elder Scrolls Online, it's likely that you'll spend hours fighting with your allies in dungeons. These range from small dungeons you can find around the world to larger group dungeons which require a full party to complete. Dungeons in ESO will provide a more cinematic feel than most solo play, and will give players the chance to test out their class synergy with other players. In-game, you'll be able to summon allies to dungeons to save on traveling time, something that a lot of players value in MMOs. The Elder Scrolls Online will have several tools to help you play with your friends, the primary form of which is the guild feature. Guilds are groups of players who work together in ESO, whether it be to help each other craft, complete dungeons, compete in Cyrodiil PvP, or just to talk to one another. There are several incentives for players to use guilds in ESO, one of which is the guild store. This is a system that allows players in a guild to sell items to one another internally. If the guild owns a keep in Cyrodiil, this will allow them to expand the guild store into other factions, meaning they can sell to players who aren't part of their faction's alliance. Guilds are cross-faction, so you can be in the same guild as someone even if you can't quest or play with them. This means that even if your friends are in a different alliance, you can still connect with them socially through ESO's guild feature. The Elder Scrolls Online is a subscription-based MMO. This means that in order to play, you will need to pay a fee every month. In addition to this, there will be an initial cost for the game, whether you're buying it digitally or buying a physical copy. This is because running servers for an MMO can be very costly. Subscription fees aren't something new in the MMO sector, and players are generally used to having them in their MMO games at launch. For all the latest ESO news, strategies, and guides, join us at ESOMasteryGuides.com. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our videos.